as you see, when I get to the corners, let's get that tip down. This is one thing that if you don't do, you need to learn. Thumb on carving, tip is down. The butt end of the knife is up. And that's why you can get that tip in there, and you get a lot of power in there. So I'm hoping if you don't do this, that you do. I told some of my students, I do teach wood carving, and I see them doing these things. I see, like going like this. And you can see how dangerous that is. Or some of them are like this. But when you put your thumb down, you got control. Some students, I'd keep working with them until they got it. And as they're doing that, as they're doing this, like this, but that feels so odd. Well, that's because that's brand new. Okay, I got the hair. Let's start in on the coat. This is a good place to start. Now the coat, I put in some wrinkles. We'll talk about that later. Some extra kind of character wrinkles. I don't know if that's the best way to put it. But again, it's best to get on the internet or a catalog and look at clothing and how people are wearing it and where the bends are, and for you to understand and utilize it. Getting the arm. You see, as I'm cutting towards myself, I got my thumb out here, so it doesn't slip. There we go, get in there. All right, there's one sleeve relatively done. Let's get the bottom. And that is my bird clock going. It is on the o'clock. And being February, I have forgotten what that is, which one that is. Had this be May, that's the big part. That's, for me, that's the most active. May, April, May, and then by June, it's not as active because now they're in their nests. So it's some bird o'clock. And we're still cleaning, we're still cleaning, we're still cleaning. Oops, let's get that cleaned a little bit. We want to just take this fur off. A little bit towards me like this. There's a nice book out there called, it's about wrinkles. The wrinkle book is for artists. You'll see that at any of your art places that sell art goods and art books. And the dramatic, I think it's called Dramatic Wrinkles, and that'll show a lot of wrinkles. If you have a chance to get that, or go to the library, or that is, if you're doing clothing and stuff, that is one of the top books to have. I've been carving since 1999, so whatever that is for this year, for you, it's for me now, it's over 20 years. January, as a matter of fact. So as of now, it's over 20 years. And taking classes, carving on my own and taking classes. As a matter of fact, I took a beginner's wood carving class. And I hope you're not one of those who believe in not taking classes. I learned all by myself. No, you should take classes for two reasons. One is learning others' techniques, and they can look at you and see, make sure you're not doing anything wrong or dangerous. But also you get into the, I want to say, fellowship of other carvers. Now when I get here, I want to leave a little, I don't want to get too deep because I want to leave room for that collar. And I think there is quite a bit of extra wood because that router bit doesn't get in there as deep. So it gives you a little extra wood. Come back to this arm a bit. Now when we get into here, we're going to have to be using some chisels. But I'm going to finish the coat, and then I'm going to finish cleaning up the planes of the hand, because this is a hand, not a glove. So we're going to be doing hands today. And so, and we'll get a little more into the detail and a little more cleaning it, because you see how some of this I like to have more of a straight across and up kind of a thing. But again, mostly we're clean, and I prefer that when we get into the details, or half medium details before we get into the full details, is make sure we have most all of this fur off. Most of that fur off in there. So my dad would always say, off in there, get off in there. So we're just kind of cleaning the fur on his hand. Okay. In there. Okay, we did flatten the hand. Before I get to the tree, I want to get to the other hand. Still trying to, excuse me, be as uniform as I can. And we'll be showing more shadows and so on. But I want to finish the hand and the little tuft we got here. And the hand. Oops, I think I need a little more chiseling here. Now this is going to be a closed hand, so this is going to be a more rounder hand. The hand holding a tree is more of a flatter hand. This is going to be a rounder hand, of course. Excuse me, got a little itch there. Put the knife down if you got a scratch. And it's going to be a little round. Maybe I don't have to worry too much about detail right now. Let's get the fur off. And in some cases here, I did forget a chisel there, so I'm going to have to cut that by hand. And we're taking the fur off. Okay, now we got that, the hands and the coat, and let us work on some of the medium details before we get to the pants. Let's get to the axe here. Now, this is kind of relatively simple. It's a straight on. This one is relatively flat in the back. Now here, not only am I need to clean that out, but I need to kind of thin that up a bit because again, the bit did not get in. Hold on, yeah, the sun is coming in and it's shining on those books. Now we can come back a little later, but sometimes I try to come up with the philosophy that where you start, and once you're on something, you want to complete it so you don't have to come back again. But that, no matter how much you plan to do that, it does come back. You do have to come back. So I'll leave that alone because I'll probably have to come back anyways. Chisel in here, separate arm from, and then separate tough from arm. And we'll have to get in there. That is the time to, here it is, I did have it out and ready. Is my little number 5. I prefer number 5 than a number 0 because you want to try to, maybe a 3 will work, but a 0, it will, well, you can probably still use a 0. In other words, flatter. I like it with just a little bit of bend to it. So sometimes you can get to a point where the ends don't bury the ends into the wood. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later, especially when we start doing the faces. But we still need, just like we did with the top of the hat. Now be careful when you get to the end here because otherwise it'll snap off. Because sometimes if you want to clean that, then you got to come back in this direction. There. All right, more detail later. Getting the froth. Next is the Christmas tree, or the evergreen. I don't know, is it called evergreen? It's not a Christmas tree until it's decorated. I don't know. Got kind of this little bit of this inspiration here because we do, I want to say, work at the Christmas tree farm. I don't know if that's the best way to put it. Demonstrate is more like it, where we have some of our carvings at the local Christmas tree farm. And it's beautiful, really, especially if there's snow and after snow. And it's, as a matter of fact, one of the things is people do come out. They have a photographer, and you can get pictures. You can get your Christmas card pictures, families near around a real live tree before somebody else knocks it down. And it's really fun because very Christmassy, people coming in, getting their, chopping down their tree, and they very happy, and it's very festive. Usually it opens, well, sometimes it opens before Thanksgiving, but on Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, holy smokes, that weekend, wow, everybody is just so cheerful and in the Christmas holiday spirit, and it's just so fun. And watch kids come in from outside and snow all over. They got their boots and their snowmobile equipment on, or coat and pants on, and talk with the kids. And it's fun. So, and yeah, you got to watch the kids there. That's a good place to be, for Santa to be watching kids. Because there's a lot of kids there, and tis the season to be nice, as it were. Okay, I'm going to take the handle here. I'm going to be careful with the handle, because I'll come back with the handle. I'll take some of it off. Bottom of the coat, clean that up. I think I'll have to come back to the coat a little more, a little later. Where's my chisel? Might get in there, chisel. I think I may have cut a little too much. It's all right to take this in pieces. I'll have to come back and straighten that coat up a little bit. Of course, I don't have to, because it's imperfect. Clothing is another thing that is imperfect. If you forget something, or slip of the knife, or bend one way or the other, okay, same with this side, because I want to be careful. I'll come back. I just want to take the fur part off. You can always come back. Did I take the fur off of this? I don't think so. And then the fur off the end. I'll come back to that for shaping. Yeah, I'm in this mood right now of just moving that knife quickly, kind of a thing, and I'm not too much into let's sit back and think about this for a while kind of a thing. And that's one good thing about roughouts, I suppose. Now, that's one of the things I kind of didn't like about roughouts. I like roughouts now, as far as teaching. And as you've seen in my older videos, in fact, this is kind of one of the first times I started doing roughouts, is I like to teach. And you learn more from a block of wood and a cutout than you will with the roughout. And it got to the point where, when I'm teaching, and you got the guys who got the roughouts are the ones that got the students. And I realized that the reason why is because they want to go home with something, and at the end of the class. And bring that over. Hold on a second. That'll got the the reflection again from the books. I gave it a quick push, but that didn't help. Shouldn't complain about the sun in February, but what happened was it just got to a point where I'd only have a couple students, and some of the other guys, they got all the students. One with the roughouts, and so that's it. So I'll do roughouts, but I still want to teach. I still want to show, yes, you go home with a finished or almost finished product, as it were, or close to. But I also teach how to do the eye step by step, instead of just simply put in the eye and pencil in the eye and there you are. But I do the eye socket, the nose, step by step. Excuse me one more time. That'll help there. Take some of the shine off there. There we go. Now I can see. Make sure I wasn't not seeing. One thing that I want to do here, before I continue on with my story here, As you see, this part here is I just want to give this a little snap. And so I thought, okay, the heck with it. So I got some of my Santas, did some rough outs, got more students, and at the end, I mean, I would prefer to have people at my table. And that's really interesting is when it's really fun when you're watching them trying to carve out something that I've designed, and that kind of was, I like that. Hopefully they liked it, but I want to make sure that I can slip in something so they learn something. And I'm going to do eyes, and I do this thing doesn't have ears. I do a very simple ear. If you were to compare it with a realistic ear, of course, you'd say, geez, you don't know how to do ears. Well, it's just a simple. And when you put an ear in a Santa, for example, it really does pop more. But this one here, his ears are covered. Sometimes I do cheat and just simply put the hair over the ear and call it good. And then the idea of the book, I've had many books, self-published books. And of course I still have them at scottcarvings.com. I need patterns, and now I have patterns, or I have my books are in PDF ebook version, and that's for people like ebooks, and especially people who are not in America, United States, which it's really extremely expensive to send a book over. Now we are being invaded by my cat. And I don't know if she's going to make her way over here. But I'm going to go through the motion as if she wasn't there. Oh, now she's making herself comfy on that, sort of like that bag material I threw in there. So as not to get the reflection of the sun, I think she's going to make herself comfy on it. So you'll be hearing a lot of crackling. Her name is Ethel, because she's our second cat. And our first cat we named Lucy. And so I guess it was natural. Now I think as I'm moving closer towards me, if I should twist this a little more. Is it still? Because it looks like I'm working my way off the camera. Yeah, I hope Ethel stays away. She's kind of a weird cat. She's one of those that always is around me and following me and all that, but she doesn't want to be touched or picked up. It's like, cat, what do you want? What do you want, cat? Okay, now we're getting towards the end of, with the exception of the face, where everything is relatively cleaned. And I want to start, well, now in the other direction. Now I'm at the bottom. Let's start back up. So let's just, while I'm on it, now we can start putting some oomph into it and start working on the feet and start shaping the feet. Really get that tip up. And I'm going with that, I call that the audacity of, I make I'm positive I made some good cuts there, but the wood will not come off. Does that happen to you? I'm positive that's a good cut there. How come it's just sitting there? Okay. I think it's relatively clean, and I'm beginning some shaping. Now, talk about shaping. Now, you'll notice this is a little thinner, so we want to make sure that this becomes thinner too. And we'll talk about this, especially with the hand, a little bit with the feet and other things that there's, when you got one thing and then you got the same thing on the other side, like hands, is if you get started and you look and you see one foot or hand is smaller than the other, in other words, the starting.